The Premier League 23-24 season is here, and it could be an incredibly spicy one. And what better way to signal the start of the season than make a bunch of predictions that I will cringe at in 8 months' time. Here's our Premier League predictions for the 23-24 season. Gonna start in last place, and I feel really bad doing this, but it's got to be Luton Town. They didn't really expect to come up this season. Some of their better players they've not been able to retain from the Championship, including Cody Drame, who has stayed at Leeds. They needed to do a lot more building than they have so far, and I think the best thing they can expect is to go down and then hopefully come back very quickly. I do think in general it's going to be insanely tight at the bottom of the table with so many teams fighting it out to stay up, and one of the clubs I expect will go down in potentially 19th is Wolves. They've already lost their manager, their recruitment is incredibly dodgy. I just think they're in a really unstable position going into this season. There are a lot of clubs fighting to avoid the last relegation slot as well, and between the likes of West Ham, Sheffield United, Everton, I've gone for Everton to likely go down. It's been a few seasons in a row they've been in relegation battle after relegation battle after relegation battle, in spite of all these FFP issues that they're dealing with. They've gotten away with it so far, but I feel like this might be a step too far. Then we've got the 15th, 16th, 17th sort of area. It's West Ham, Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest haven't done too much to build on last season, where I think they were relatively lucky to stay up. Admittedly, they played really well towards the end of the season, but I don't know if the quality of squad is there quite yet. West Ham have sold Declan Rice and not got anyone in yet. They've got rumours around players, but I don't want to make predictions based on rumours, if that makes any sense. I'll probably do another predictions video after the window's closed so we know what the squads look like. Sheffield United have just come up, and whilst that tends to mean that clubs are at a risk of going down, I don't see it this time. They've got a fairly strong squad. Admittedly, selling Sander Berge, if that happens, will be a major problem, but I think it's a really weak bottom half of the Premier League this season, and Sheffield United might have enough to stay up. Then we've got the clubs that are not going to be in a relegation battle, but they won't look too comfy either. I've gone for Fulham as one of them because although Marco Silva is working absolute miracles there, losing Mitrovic is going to be a massive issue for them. We don't know how they'll respond to that, if we'll get a new top quality striker in, but if he does go to Saudi Arabia, that's a serious issue. I've also got Burnley in this sort of area, and I say they're not going to be the happiest, they will be. You've just come up, you've got Vincent Kompany working his magic with that squad again. I feel like Burnley will be nice and solid in the Premier League this season. Then we're going to finish off the bottom half with two more teams. You've got Crystal Palace, who rely quite heavily on Ebere Eze and Michael Olise to create their opportunities. If they do lose Olise to Manchester City, that's going to be a very serious issue that could see them plunge down the table. But as is, I see them at about 12th place. Bournemouth are 11th place for me, and that is primarily because of Andoni Iraola. Leeds United were looking at signing him when they got rid of Jesse Marsch, but he didn't come. And he plays a really sort of exciting, fast version of football that's sort of Bielsa-esque. It's very entertaining, it's very fun to watch, it's very attacking, and hopefully it does well. Admittedly, this one might come from a place of bias, but I think Bournemouth are going to be okay. Cracking the start of the top 10, I'm going to go with Brentford. Now, I would have them a little bit higher for reasons that I'll get into a little bit later with the other clubs, but I think losing Ivan Toney for such an extended period of time is a massive issue for them. I don't think they've hugely replaced him yet, and they're almost completely reliant on him as a goal-scoring threat. Admittedly, they've got players like Mbumo, Yanel, but I feel like Toney is sort of irreplaceable in that side, so if he's not there and things start to go wrong, they're going to have to make some fast moves in the market before the window slams shut. 9th place, I've gone with Brighton. I can see them slightly slip down the table from where they've become used to finishing, purely because they've got European football to contend with. That means a lot more matches in the schedule, which means they'll need a lot more depth in the squad. I feel that might be why they're trying to desperately hang on to Caicedo. If they lose Caicedo as well, that's another problem for them. I can see them coming 9th, so they'll have a good enough showing, but they won't directly qualify for Europe this year. Next up is probably my most controversial choice on the list. I don't think Newcastle will qualify for European football through the league this season. Now, there's a few reasons for this, and mainly it's because their squad doesn't have that much quality depth at the moment. Admittedly, they've added good players. They've got Sandro Tonali, they've got Harvey Barnes, and that adds to the level of skill in the first team. But when you look behind that, it's a little bit weak. And if they're going to be playing a top squad in Europe to try and make their name and fight against Champions League clubs, then when injuries happen, you're dealing with the players that aren't quite as good, and I don't see them cracking the top 7 like that. Sorry, but I think Newcastle come 8th. Next, we have a team that has had one of the best transfer windows of any club in the Premier League. I'm going Aston Villa. They've picked up Yuri Tielemans on a free, Diaby from, was it Leverkusen? Either way, Diaby's moved in from the Bundesliga and he is incredible. I think he can add a lot, and Unai Emery, who has already changed an Aston Villa side into something dynamic and creative and very fun to watch, I can just see that growing, and I can see them securing a Conference League spot this season relatively without issue. In 6th place, and I've just realised I've put the big 6 in the top 6, which I didn't mean to do, but it'll work out. I've gone with Chelsea. Pochettino is a very exciting manager that plays fluid, attacking football, and is a big shift from what Chelsea were dealing with last season. Now, in the long run, I think this is a side that can compete for trophies, but not right now. It'll take a little bit of time to get that tactical idea together, to work as a unit and to push onwards. Potter and Lampard didn't work out last year, but there's a clear foundation of good footballers there, and I think with a bit of time and a bit of effort, especially with the addition of Nico Jackson and Christopher Nkunku, it's a Chelsea side that can push on for the Championship. Champions League. I'm going for 6th place this season anyway, so the Champions League doesn't matter too much. That is followed closely by Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I think they've got a hell of a lot of talent as well, and I think Ange Postecoglou is in the same sort of spot as Maurizio Pochettino. They're going into clubs that have had very, very different tactical ideas, and it's a matter of adapting very quickly into a more attacking, engaging, fluid style of football. Postecoglou likes his wide fullbacks, he likes wingers playing out wide, and a lot of stuff will come down to Harry Kane. If they can keep Harry Kane, then sure, 5th place, maybe even higher. If they don't, then they need to get a replacement very quickly, or it's going to be a really long year for Spurs. Then we have the Champions League clubs, and in 4th place, I'm going to go with Manchester United. Now, they've had a decent summer. They've got Andre Onana in, who can make a massive difference, especially over De Gea. They can now play out better from the back. They've got Rasmus Højlund in, who is a good centre-forward, although he's not that experienced. But he also seems relatively injury-prone, and I think if they had him for the entire season, then sure, they could push beyond 4th place. But if he stays injured and he keeps having issues, then there's a slightly bigger problem going on. Signing Mason Mount also helps, but when you've not got that number 9, and lacking a number 9 is what Manchester United have struggled with for years now, I can't see them doing better than 4th. Arsenal are up next in 3rd place because I think they've made big leaps forward with their transfer business. Jurrien Timber is a brilliant buy. Declan Rice, another good purchase. Kai Havertz is... I don't know, because he's been at Chelsea recently and Chelsea as a whole has been a mess. But I can see them holding on to 3rd because they've made good steps forwards, but the teams around them have done the same thing. They won't be good enough to push Man City for the title because honestly that's borderline impossible, especially when they've added Josko Gvardiol to their squad. Spoilers, Manchester City might win the title. And yeah, I think they're in a better spot than Manchester United are. They're still more sturdy than Spurs and Chelsea because they've had that time under Arteta to form a tactical unit and push onwards. But it's about recruitment, I think. I think that's going to be the big difference. There's not really a set number 9 in that squad. First and second is a bit of a throwback. 2nd place, I'm going for Liverpool because they've had a big midfield rebuild. Their biggest issues in the past few years were the fact that they weren't able to get the right sort of energy in the midfield. There was Henderson, there was Fabinho, there was Keita, and they were all either always injured or not that fast and energetic. They've added Szoboszlai, they've added... who's the other one? McAllister, sorry about that. And they're looking likely to add Romeo Lavia. Even if they don't, they've got Bajcetic in there. I feel like that midfield refresh has happened, and it's happened a little bit faster than Jurgen Klopp might have wanted, but the fact that it's happening is good, and they can really start to make a difference now. Finally, title winners, and you all knew it was coming, Man City. It's Pep. He's still got the best players in the world. No one can catch him. They're going to win the title. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Drop a like, comment what your thoughts are if I've got anything blatantly wrong. Yeah, see you later.